Hey top percenters, Writer Joey here. Today talking about the rotation for 2013 to 2014. Well, our next rotation has been announced, and it's next Destinies onwards. So what does this mean for the format? To be blunt, not that much really. We lose Crushing Hammer, which might annoy some Darkrai players, but Darkrai still has plenty of other variants to play with, and it still has disruption in the form of Crushing Hammer. Darkrai also loses Energy Switch, which once again might be a hindrance, but I really don't think it's enough to kill it off. What could die for most of Energy Switch though is Ho-Oh, which right now isn't huge, but I believe some players were ready to sneak this guy into the format to stop Genesect Virizion. But losing Energy Switch really does hurt this deck. But to be fair, this is another deck that I don't think will be outright killed off by the rotation. There is one deck that is killed off by the rotation though, and for me this is probably the biggest loss. Electric is being cycled out, meaning that this rotation that barely touches the competitive format outright removes the closest thing we have to a setup deck. Eel's variants were the most setup and maintenance based decks in the format. In Kill Your Blastoise, you get your Blastoise and most likely it's going to be there for a turn or two. Eels didn't have that staying power, meaning that a player had to play smart and had to try and maintain 2 Eels on the board in an attempt to guarantee 1 for next turn. But this rotation bids farewell to Electric, and the deck that just wouldn't die. Another thought it lost to the format are the original prints of Victini, which includes Benchtini, which I'm guessing by the outcry from losing him, people were planning to make him their anti-Genesect tech. And to be honest, I can see the reasoning behind using Benchtini. It worked great against Klinklang Cobalion. You KO 2 of their Pokemon and take most of their energy while doing it, and they're not going to be able to make a comeback. That being said, Klinklang Cobalion didn't have built-in energy acceleration. Genesect does. So my major guess is that Benchtini wouldn't have been as game-saving against Genesect as it was against Cobalion. As I said though, that's my guess. Talking about Cobalion, we also lose an associate of his, in the form of the black-white Klinklang, which hasn't had a subsequent reprint and as such is being cut. This alone means that Cobalion loses a lot of its versatility, and the fact that it could have held its own next format with everything looking to be X driven seems like a real letdown. It's nice to have something in format that actively counters the dominant archetype, like Stormfront Machamp back when SPs were the big contenders. And what more can I really say about this rotation? It's 3 sets, effectively 2 when you factor in that Emerging Powers was originally part of Black and White in Japan, and really this rotation doesn't change the competitive game, other than turning around and saying the big decks have less to worry about. And I think that's the biggest complaint a lot of players have had about this format, that the competitive decks, or the X's, are uncontested, and people have voiced opinions on how to balance out the game again, on how to make Stage 2s and other evolutions playable. But to be honest, we can't make evolutions playable without making them overpowered, and further increasing the power creep. A lot of people are saying, bring back Broken Time Space, undo the errata on Rare Candy, but this helps X's as much as it helps evolutions. Could you imagine a format with Keldeo Blastoise being able to set up a Blastoise turn 1? Every other game would be a donk. The format would be much worse off. And I'm going to apologise now, because I'll be honest, I don't like moaning about things like the rotation. This is something that affects everyone in the game, but I can't help but feel that this rotation was chosen because the Pokemon Company felt they had to have a rotation after the repeated blunders of previous years. One year having to skip rotation, the next having to push rotation forward because they introduced the Black-White rule set as soon as Black-White was released and not as part of the rotation, under the premise that the Black-White cards were designed to work under the Black-White rule set, even though they'd have no problems working under the old rules, and effectively making Sableye from Stormfront the most broken card in format. To put a long story short, I don't feel that this rotation really accomplishes anything as far as the game is concerned, especially when we factor in how many early set cards have been reprinted. But how about I stop moaning and actually talk about something interesting, like the new format they're introducing in 2015. Although I say introducing, this format is only new to us, as it's existed in Japan for at least a year or so now. We're basically getting the Japanese open format. or as most people here might call it, the extended format. In 2015, Pokemon are planning to implement a new legal format into the Pokemon TCG, which will be black-white onwards. Which, if I understand this correctly, would mean that we get a modified format that will be XY onwards, or at least I hope it'll be XY onwards, and an extended format that covers 2 entire blocks of cards. Now, does this mean that the Pokemon Company are going to design XY cards to fall in line with the current black-white format cards? Or does this mean that we could potentially have a huge mess lying ahead of us? Only time will tell. That's a great thing about things that haven't happened yet. We don't know what they're going to be. This format could be an unrecognisable mess that's only called food because it has some nutritional value, or it could be an ice cream filled birthday cake that's big enough to feed a family, and it's all yours. All in all, even though I don't like the rotation, if truth be told, I don't think there'd be a single rotation I'd be completely happy with, for pretty much the same reasons I don't like this one. And at least the Pokemon Company has given us something new and possibly very interesting to look forward to. So, until next time, I'm Rata Joey. You guys are the top percent. Peace out.